On today's show, will Ready Player One be Spielberg's biggest box office opening ever? Probably not. Can Robert Downey Jr. talk to animals? Apparently so, and Kevin Bacon is back doing what he started, horror movies. Collider Movie Talk starts right now. You guys name a horror movie Kevin Bacon was in?
Hollow
Footloose.
Yeah.
It's not a horror movie.
Man.
From John Lithgow's perspective, having him come into the town was a little horrific.
Stir of Echoes.
Friday the 13th.
And Hollow Man were the three answers we were looking for. More on Kevin Bacon's further exploits into the horror genre a little bit later on in the show. Flatliners is there as well. We are going to kick off our show with Kristian Harloff, Jay Washington, and Jon Schnepp talking about Spielberg's movie that is set for release this Easter weekend. That would be Ready Player One. And the box office tracking estimates for the 4-day weekend currently have the movie anywhere from $40 to $50 million. I've seen numbers as high as 50 and even as low as $38 million. Keep in mind, Steven Spielberg's highest domestic opening is for that box office gold Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which passed $100 million opening weekend at the box office. No doubt nostalgia played a huge part in that, and they're banking on the nostalgia factor for Ready Player One doing well. The movie's budgeted around $150 million worldwide. It's expected to pull in around $140 to $150 million opening weekend. Now, why do we throw all these numbers at you? Because Ready Player One, to this point, has been a pretty positive movie that critics have reacted to, and I think audiences will do the same as somebody who is a fan of Spielberg and all the references in Ready Player One. However, I can't help but be a little pessimistic about its chances at the box office because I just don't feel like a lot of people are clamoring to see this movie in the same way that they do a comic book movie, a Star Wars movie, or another huge tentpole that Steven Spielberg helped start that revolution. So, Kristian, if I throw it to you first, and you and I have seen Ready Player One. We both really enjoyed it. Why aren't fans seeming to be more excited to show their appreciation for this movie with their wallets?
Well, I'll start by saying I think this stinks. I think it stinks. This movie is awesome. I love this movie. I want to see it again. And I think that it's exactly what you're saying. It's discouraging because, yeah, it's based off a book, but it's essentially a brand new property that nobody really knows about. And people are going to be waiting, and understandably, for Avengers and maybe even Solo and these other things, and they're letting Ready Player One just kind of brush aside. Nobody's as excited about it. And the other thing is, it is really based off of, sure, it does go towards gamers. There's no doubt about it, and the gaming culture is as big as it's ever been right now. But it really aims itself towards the 80s kids. It really does. And we're in a place right now where the 80s kids are the minority of the box office. The box office big numbers are from 18 to like 23, 24. The 18 to 24-year-olds, even if they're gamers, doesn't look like they're as excited for this movie because of the DeLoreans and the stuff that's inside of it. I'm not saying that there's not a lot of movie fans out there that also, you don't have to be in our age range to appreciate Back to the Future. Of course, there are people that are 17, 18, or 15 who love these movies. That's not what I'm saying, but it's a generation that is aimed at. Spielberg's aiming at our generation. Other generations can absolutely, and that's the whole point, is that they will enjoy this movie. It's aimed at all generations. I'm just worried about who's going to see the movie.
See, I disagree with you a little bit. I think the kids 18 to 24 love the 80s. I think that they actually love the pop culture nostalgia from stuff before they were born. That's based on my interaction with kids, which I, do in a very legal sense of the word.
Yeah, for sure.
But when I'm on stage in colleges too, they get all those references. My issue with this movie and the way it's marketed is that it feels too much like a video game movie. So the people who were alive in the 80s are going to see this, and instead of thinking, oh, this is Spielberg, this has Back to the Future, this has Freddy Krueger, this has cool Battletoads, they're going to think, this looks like I'm putting a virtual reality headset on, and I just don't want to do that. So instead of being like a classic Spielberg movie, Jay, I think a lot of people who are 30 years or older are thinking this is another video game movie, and those have not done as well at the box office.
I kind of agree with you with that, but I do think, like Kristian was saying, there's a new generation that's spending all the money at theaters, but you have to look at all the films that are coming behind it. Because, yeah, you have Ready Player One, which is set to be this big blockbuster film, but you got people setting up for Rampage, setting up for Solo, setting up for Avengers, setting up for the summer, and Deadpool, all these other movies.
They just saw Tomb Raider, they just saw Pacific Rim, too.
So they're, to an extent, some people are like, look, I have to take a break. I can catch it later. Because there are a lot of people now who are like, I don't have to run to go see this in the theater. Within a couple of months, it'll be on Blu-ray, DVD, or I can get it on demand streaming. So that could play a big part in it as well.
Well, I will say though too. Sorry, Jay, to cut you off, but I actually think we're saying the same thing, because what I'm saying is that the audience that is going to see this movie is going to be the 18 to 22-year-olds. I think that
you just think it's for a different reason. You think it's more gamer than it is nostalgia.
Yeah, and I think that when you aim it towards, because there's a lot of our generation, like you said, they might just be waiting to not go see it in the theater, because, like I said, the 18 to 22-year-olds that do pick up on this nostalgia and are the gamers are going to see it. And I think that's where this projection of the 30 to 40 million comes from.
Well, let's go to our resident 20-year-old, Jon Schnepp.
Right.
How do you feel about is it the nostalgia that's just not hitting the way it should? Is it video games, or are we all crazy? And do you think this movie is going to surpass box office expectations?
You guys are all crazy. I think this movie's going to be a massive hit. I think, look, I'm in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I'm older than all y'all.
He actually is in Ferris Bueller. Watch the parade scene very closely. You'll see Jon Schnepp.
I'm a kid from the 80s, and for myself, I was interested in this not just because of the book and the super heavy references, but also because of what it's about. And I think with Spielberg making this film, the way they've advertised it, the way they've had that kind of those cool movie poster recreations, I think it's hitting on all those different kinds of cylinders. I think it's going to probably make 50 million is my guess, but I haven't seen it. You haven't seen it. You guys did see it. I'm looking forward to it. I feel like it's time that Spielberg returned to a good blockbuster.
You said
film.
Battletoads, so I kind of want to see it on Battletoads.
I think you're right, by the way. I think 50 million is what it's going to hit. I still think that stinks.
Yeah.
I want that movie to make 100. To make 150.
Well, hopefully word of mouth.
That's what I hope
make
will
it
happen.
work.
But it's just that's to me the more disappointing thing. I do think the same thing like Pacific Rim. I think it's going to do very well internationally. I think the movie will be a success. I just want it to be a mega success because it deserves it.
I think it's going to be a big hit. I mean, there were so many little kids walking around with Hot Topic shirts on at WonderCon. I was like, hey, you're.
But that's the thing,
So it's like all Ready Player One, all this 80s reference stuff. So I think a lot of kids are tuned into the 80s.
And that's the thing now. A lot of people are banking, we're talking about the U.S. box office. A lot of these movies bank on international.
Yeah.
Because they're like, hey, people love special effects. They love explosions. They love beautiful graphics and things like that overseas. We appreciate it here, but the box office doesn't reflect it as much as the international numbers do.
I think the international numbers for this are going to be pretty high. I think it's going to be better than something like the BFG, which is the most recent comparison for a Spielberg movie. If you look at a $140 million budget for that movie and it just did not get the return on investment, I think most people at least appreciated that movie. They didn't fall in love with it, but it just didn't have that word of mouth that you want. And it opened right in the smack dab middle of the summer. You can say the same for Ready Player One, because I know it's just March, but this is when the summer season starts. So Easter weekend, that has been a historically recent times huge weekend. You've had Batman v Superman open to $166 million. You've had two Fast and Furious movies, both pulling over $100 million at the box office here. So it clearly is a weekend that families can go see a movie together. It just doesn't appear to be this.
Yeah, I think it's March, April. I wouldn't call it the summer movie season yet, but I do think that you get the big appetizers as far as they're coming up. They're coming up, and here's
it's like a Black Angus appetizer.
Yeah. It's like that type of thing. But I think that it is the international. If you look at something like Pacific Rim, even when I got a chance to talk to Steven tonight, they were very aware of that. I think if you would have really stripped down behind the cameras and again, this is just me guessing, but I think that if you talk to them, they're probably it'll do okay domestic. But I'm talking about Pacific Rim, but we're shooting for international.
Yeah, they were like China. That's all they cared about.
Geared towards the international
And
audience.
it ended up working out because it made $65 million in China over the weekend.
And if you can market the right way, and this movie, Ready Player One, has a lot of elements inside that I think speaks to the international audience, because there are a lot of virtual VR, by the way, is huge, not just here. It's big all over. So and that's really what they're banking on. Plus the nostalgia of a lot of these things that popped. There's a lot of obviously domestic references, but there's a lot of stuff that a lot of people will recognize from all over the world.
I think it's just alienated people who are maybe 45 and above, because most of them might think you even have to have a headset to watch this movie, or at least 3D glasses that are pretty clunky.
Oculus real quick.
Then if you're too young, you might not get some of the references. But look, I see kids all the time, and they're wearing Guns N' Roses shirts, and they're wearing Van Halen shirts and Ramon shirts. They may not know any songs from those bands, but I think that they care about that time from a nostalgic perspective. So Kristian, we just did, or we're currently in the midst of Spielberg's top 10 movies. Does Ready Player One have any sort of threat to his top 10 from your perspective?
I can't answer that yet because I literally just saw it last week, and it was one of the biggest issues I had with the superhero news list that we did, is that it was some of the movies that got in there were too fresh. I mean, I love Logan, and I thought Wonder Woman's a good movie, but I still don't know if they deserve to be in the top 10 yet, because I need to give them more years, and it's not, and that's kind of unfair to them because they've only been out for like a year or whatever. But this movie, there's a lot that I liked in it. I mean, there really is, and it's one of those movies I need to see again, because there are other movies that I've thought that, I mean, I went Last Jedi, here we go, bring that up again. But I saw it the first time, and I said to myself, I need to go back and watch it. Liked it a lot more the second time, and then the more I watched it, it started going down a little bit more. So maybe this is the same. Maybe this is the opposite. Maybe it starts going up, and then it places itself somewhere higher in the list.
But it does speak to the quality of the film, at least, that he's wanting to go back and see it again. Where does this movie rank on y'all's anticipation level as two people who have not seen it?
Well, it's underneath Avengers: Infinity War, that's for sure. But I mean, it's when I heard he was making it, I was like, cool, finally, Spielberg's returning something that I'd like him to do, because he's an incredibly gifted filmmaker. I just don't want to see like another Lincoln film. I'm like, I feel like Lincoln was great. Don't get me wrong. Yay for Lincoln, whatever. But yeah, exactly. That's my yay for Lincoln, whatever. I was like, can you make a cool block? Yeah, that should have been the poster. Yay for Lincoln, whatever.
It was just him with his arms folded.
Yeah, little baby E.T.
Yeah.
Iron Giant in the background. Yeah, like Iron Giant's chucked all over this thing.
Why am I in this movie?
Look, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Was I super excited about Ready Player One from the get? Not really, but the more I've seen from it, the more trailers I've seen, I was like, wow, it looks really exciting. Let me go to Oasis. I'm ready to go. So
yeah, Jay, how about you? And do you think they could have marketed this movie differently than they are?
The posters have been talked about all through social media, not in a good way. I'm an 80s baby, so I have a Mario Brothers shirt on, y'all can't see. I'm an 80s baby, so when I saw the trailer and I saw the references, I was like, I want to see this. But then I started thinking, like, will I want to see this again in years? That like we bring up with the Spielberg films, with the superhero films, the ones that hold in the top 10s are the ones you can go back a year or two later and you're like, man, I could just watch this with no problem. Will Ready Player One be one of those? I'm not sure yet. I have to see it first. I can't just say, yeah, I looked at it, I saw the trailers, I saw the posters, I'm in every single time. I want to see the film. Like, everybody's reviews have been positive that I've heard. But I want to have my own, my own review for it to know that, hey, okay, I want to see this again within 2-3 years, multiple times.
I will tell you, I think it's a very rewatchable movie.
And I think it's worth seeing in the theater. I mean, I think it's one of those ones where, look, I'm not a
IMAX,
huge...
man.
Yeah.
What about 4DX? Like with all of them?
I say go crazy with all the bells and whistles that Universal will offer you, because I'm not a huge virtual reality guy, because it's scary. Part of it scares me. Part of it scares me that while I have the headset on, what's the government doing around me? Right. But it's also like I put it on and I feel like I'm just immersed in a world, and I don't like the clunkiness of the headset. But I also I'm cool with this.
You mean reality? I'm not Makuta style.
Aren't you?
I
just
really
screaming. I just want this the way it is.
But I do think that this movie is maybe the most accurate, and I'm prognosticating here, the most accurate representation of the future that we have yet seen on film. Blade Runner 1982 did a pretty bang-up job of getting 2019 right, but except for flying cars. Like, you got to get rid of the flying cars.
Computers, too. The computers are...
The computers are a little dated, and flying cars are just never going to be a thing, at least in the next 100 years. But I think that this is going to be the way that people live their lives in 2045.
In stacked up trailer homes.
In stacked up in Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio.
Going there in a couple of weeks. I'll let you know if there's
As long as I have Mark Rylance as Garth, I'm in.
So Ready Player One is in theaters this week, and I think they might even have preview screenings tonight, is my guess. Going on to our next story, Robert Downey Jr. is going to take the baton from Eddie Murphy. What do we mean? He's going to be playing Dr. Dolittle in the Voyage of Dr. Dolittle. This film has been noted for some time, and Downey recently revealed more cast members that will be joining Selena Gomez, Tom Holland, Emma Thompson, and Ralph Fiennes. Those include Rami Malek, Octavia Spencer, Kumail Nanjiani, Craig Robinson, John Cena, Marion Cotillard, Carmen Eogo, and Francis De La Torre. They're all going to be voicing animal characters, and they will be joining some humans in the movie, and that includes Jim Broadbent, Antonio Banderas, and Michael Sheen. It is a who's who of cast, a very diverse cast list when it comes to who's going to be portraying these different animals. Look, before we get to the animals, Do we care about Dr. Dolittle? Does Robert Downey Jr. playing Dr. Dolittle do anything for you, Jon Schnepp?
Well, first of all, we saw a picture of Eddie Murphy there for a second before the show. Me and Jay were both saying, like, what's the character? 1, 2, 3? Donkey. He should come back and be a donkey. That'd be the best cameo.
Because you can't do this without Eddie Murphy.
Well, sure you could.
Well, you could, but I mean, Rex Harrison, who was the original Dr. Dolittle, he's dead. So I mean,
also children's stories and stuff too, wasn't it? Like,
was that?
I thought it was like children's stories.
It was based on 1920s children's stories.
It would be nice to be able to throw a cameo. We were like, that'd be cool.
I'm with you on the cameo. But I mean,
we're not talking full like main character.
Right. I'm just saying, you can do this without. If he doesn't show up, it doesn't sink the movie.
It doesn't sink the movie.
It just helps.
Now that we've put that kernel in your mind, now you kind of want to hear Eddie Murphy as.
I want to see it, but I'm not going to like stand outside the theater with signs saying "Not my Dr. Dolittle." Like I get it. Eddie Murphy was in 2 very successful Dr. Dolittle movies. I'm the biggest fan Eddie Murphy ever had. Judging by his recent public appearances, I don't know that Eddie Murphy cares about being in any movie, much less this as a cameo. As far as Robert Downey Jr. playing Dr. Dolittle, I think that this is the best possible casting you could have had. I mean, the voice talent is great. I love all the lists that I've seen. Robert Downey Jr. is just such a singularly engaging actor that if anybody could be playing Dr. Dolittle, not named Eddie Murphy or perhaps Jim Carrey, I'd want to see Robert Downey Jr. do it. I don't care about it that much, but it does make me a little more interested, Kristian.
He fits the role. There's no doubt about it. And you can see him being this kind of eccentric. He is an eccentric dude in general, and it would work. I just know from the stuff that he's passed. I mean, he passed on Gravity. He passed on Spotlight. He passed on all these movies, and he took this, which is not necessarily a bad thing. We'll see what happens, but like there were a lot of times he's passed on a lot of big roles that turned out to be very successful, and it's not like he needs it. You know, his bank account's just fine, but he's just such a good actor. I want this movie to succeed. I want him to have his Dr. Dolittle to, maybe like throw in like a little spice of Willy Wonka in there and give a good kids movie for Downey, because it's not said enough. I mean, I know it was when he first came out. For what he did with his life, it's something that needs to be commended more and more and more, because if you look at people that gone through what he went through, and it wasn't just like, oh yeah, he went out, had a couple drinks here and there. He was down the rabbit hole, like Eddie Furlong rabbit hole. He was down that thing, and people like Eddie Furlong, they don't come back from it.
Right.
And he came back, and he's able to do a movie like this. Good on him. The fact that he was able to, Marvel didn't want to take the shot on him and Favreau lobbied for him, and he was able to do that and spin his career into a brand new thing. Because when he was doing that Ally McBeal and he was off the set, it looked like his career was done. So for him to be able to do a movie like this, a family kids movie, good on him, and I hope it succeeds.
But it's not just a one-off, potentially family movie for him. It could spin its way into a franchise the way that Eddie
Sherlock
Murphy's
Holmes.
movie got a sequel. So my question is, do you think that this is him setting himself up for a life after playing Iron Man? Where, personally, I think we're going to see Tony Stark in the MCU for a while, and we might change our tune in 3 weeks when we see Infinity War, and we're like, oh, God, they killed him in the first 5 minutes. I think that Tony Stark is going to play a role. I just think it might be more a wizard behind the curtain as opposed to being front and center as Iron Man. So, Jay, do you like him setting this up potentially as his next tentpole franchise that he can crank out of the box office and then maybe do more of the fare you're talking about, like your Spotlights or your Gravities, where you're looking for that Oscar bait?
Absolutely. He already has that fan base that'll come to see him as him being Iron Man. Being Iron Man.
Does he, though?
Not really.
Here's why I say this.
Right.
Here's why I say this. We've got to remember, these comic book films are not just for our generation. Younger kids consistently run to go see these and have gone back to see Iron. Again, people are revisiting all the movies up until Infinity War.
The Marvel movies, yes, but it is the Judge did not transfer that
I'm
audience.
not talking
over.
about those.
Okay.
I'm talking about the Marvel movies with him specifically. That younger fan base that you're gonna pull for Dr. Dolittle. Oh my God, Iron Man is in Dr. Dolittle. You have to remember that. Then you have this voice cast that you got John Cena in it and Iron Man. For younger kids, that's all they need.
Oh, that's the hook for sure. I mean,
That's all they need.
Yeah, that's a hook. But as far as his audience transfer over to other movies that he's done, it hasn't worked yet.
Oh yeah,
I don't even think. I mean, to be blunt, I don't even think Downey Jr. is the key to the success of Dr. Dolittle. I think it's like doing that kind of Jungle Book thing where you see all these cool talking animals with all the stars' voices, where they could come in and do. You'll get more stars' voices. They haven't even announced half that cast yet, and I feel like. I mean, I don't think Robert Downey Jr. outside of Iron Man has that kind of capability to open a big picture. I mean, he did Sherlock Holmes, but I'm just saying, like right now, like we'll see.
Let's not forget Tropic Thunder.
Well, that wasn't him.
That's not him. That was a group.
It was a group of some, but everybody.
He was arguably the biggest, like the biggest curiosity.
He stood out. That's what I'm saying. He stood out in Tropic Thunder.
Don't also forget that Ben Stiller directed that film too. But and there's a lot.
Yeah, there's. I mean, I'm just saying, like I think to me, it's not Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Dolittle. I think it's like the overall, like where we are with the technology now and that kind of refresher. I don't know if it's going to be a musical. They're going to be talking to the animals and singing and whatnot. But look, I mean, I think he's an incredible actor, and I'd like to see him do smaller roles myself, as opposed to keep doing these giant blockbusters. But this is that perfect vehicle, like you said. So
yeah, I mean, but you don't think it has the box office clout, or do you think it's just a combination of all
it's going to be a massive blockbuster.
Yeah, he's just saying it's the Jungle Book faction. It's the talking animals that's going to get people in there.
I would disagree with that. I really think Downey is the reason why a lot of people are going to want to go see this movie, because you're going to see a trailer, and predictably you're going to see his personality dripping off the screen, and people love that personality from Tony Stark, something they weren't able to get with another movie that he did recently.
Animals.
With the Judge.
That's the thing is, I don't disagree that Downey is going to be a reason for them to see it, but I think Schnepp's right. I think it's that because we have talked about it a million times. The movie star does not sell the movie unless you're The Rock.
Right.
The movie, and Will Smith doesn't have that clout anymore. Nobody has that clout. Downey does not have that clout.
He doesn't just if you put him on the poster, but if you combine him with something that we want to see them in that scenario.
Yeah, I agree.
Robert Downey Jr., somebody else, me talking animals, nobody cares about. Robert Downey Jr. talking animals, that's a different scenario.
Absolutely. If the first couple of things you see are the talking animals, right, and then you're like, well, who's Dr. Dolittle? I don't want to just see the talking animal, and then it's Downey. Like, oh, okay, talking animals with Downey, I'm in.
But you sell the movie first and foremost as Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Dolittle. Then you give the supporting cast. You see what I'm saying? You don't just say the animals first, then you say who's Dr. Dolittle.
I'm sorry, Jim.
You could be upside with this.
Look, I'm trying to make the sides here. We're all on the same side.
Talking animals.
It's about the talking animals and Dr. Dolittle.
I'll be on your team because I want to see Robert Downey Jr. talk to animals, and if one of those animals happens to be a donkey, voiced by Eddie Murphy, I will not complain.
Arnold also had a cameo in the second Dr. Dolittle.
Yep.
Okay, well, that's nice.
And he's back doing movies anyway.
April 12th, 2019 is when the movie comes out, and that's wedged in the month in between Captain Marvel and Avengers 4, which is untitled. So we move on to a story about a spec script that was recently picked up called Intruder, written by James V. Robinson. It's an alien home invasion style movie that's kind of like Close Encounters of the Third Kind meets there's a break-in that says somebody said that an alien stayed at their house overnight on a farm in, you guessed it, Kentucky. Hi, Ryan Snelling and Jay Williams. So I think that this movie sounds like it's got a lot going for it, just because it's produced by Dan Farrow and Roy Lee and John Berg of Vertigo Entertainment. They also did the It adaptation last year. Just on its ear, hearing the Deadline is reporting this, it's picked up by Paramount Pictures. The movie is called Intruder. So you have aliens that are staying in there, they're breaking into your house overnight. Does that sound like something you want to see, Jay Washington?
Potentially, but I do want to talk about what's on screen, and it says Intruder. It says INDTRUDER.
Intruder?
Yeah, you see that?
Yeah, but that's when you see an intruder and it's an alien, so you're really scared. You're like, oh my God, it's an intruder.
That's the stutter part. Yeah. I mean, just hearing it has potential. We don't know anything more about it. When start giving me a full plot, cast listings, things like that, let me know, hey, if I want to go see this. But right now, I'm just indifferent.
Yeah, I got to know who the animals are before they start talking. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
The aliens will be voiced by a host of different.
You know what? I like the plot line now. Did I read it wrong, or is it like there's a home invasion going on and then aliens invade?
Yeah,
is that right?
Danny McBride is the house owner.
Well, that's what I'm saying. No, but I'm serious. There's a home invasion. Like people are. Like,
no, it's an alien home invasion.
So it's not a double home invasion.
Yeah,
right. That's what I read. I thought
they're wearing burglar masks.
It's not like people are breaking into the house.
Yeah, and then aliens
come and save the day.
Well, that's what I want to see.
So people are breaking into an alien's house?
No, aliens are coming in and saying, yo, you got a TV for me?
I want a home invasion and then aliens show up. So the people who are doing the home invasion are also trapped by the aliens. Yeah, so it's a double home invasion.
It's like Home Alone and then aliens come
Intruders 2.
Right.
Star Macaulay Culkin.
It might actually be what you want.
That's what
it might actually be a home invasion during an alien invasion.
That's what I'm saying. I thought I read it. That's kind of, if you read the show notes, that's what it says.
Why is that more exciting?
It's more exciting for me because I've never seen that before. I've already seen Close Encounters. I've seen Evil ETs. I've seen that. I'm so bored with the aliens showing up and probing people's butts. I don't care.
You know, that reminds me of, if they do it that way, is Attack the Block.
Yes.
Because if they do it along the lines to where it's like these people who are robbing the house and have to combine.
Hell yeah.
It's Attack the Block.
That's what I want to see. I mean, because Attack the Block was refreshing just simply because it was like, you have never seen these people deal with aliens before. You know, it's like street kids.
Right. Well, it's exactly right. It's the criminals that wind up becoming the heroes in the movie. So depending on how you team them up, I mean, that's kind of what the messages of any of these alien movies or war movies, to where it's like, when there's one big threat, we have all of our problems on this planet, but if there's another invasion, how do we all come together? And that's always, even though it's an original script, that's been done, but if it's done in a kind of fun, unique way.
And to add at the end, there can't be buddy-buddy between the family and the intruders of the house.
Right.
There can't be buddy-buddy after everything is
After
done.
it's over? I mean, it depends how many...
Stockholm Syndrome, who knows what's going to happen.
Everybody's just friendly. We did this
I'll
together.
tell you what, if you come in and you want to... At first, you're going to steal my TV, but then you save me from getting an alien probe up my rear end, you can have the TV.
I got good news for everybody on the table. So there's another movie that was picked up by Blumhouse recently called Invasion. That's the movie where people break in to somebody else's house during an alien invasion.
That's the one I want to see.
That's the movie you want to see.
That's the one I want to see.
That's not the movie we're talking about. Intruders is simply... So now you guys think that just good old-fashioned alien invasion movies aren't special
It's not
anymore?
good enough unless there's talking animals, Mark Ellis.
Right.
I mean, look, your premise,
alien.
the invasion premise sounds a lot like it's a spiritual successor to something like Night of the Living Dead, where people get thrown into a house together where they may not agree on a lot of things, but they do agree we have to stop these zombies. If they make it feel like gritty and realistic, and it is based on Close Encounters of the Third Kind, obviously it's inspired by that, but also this farm in Kentucky, I kind of identify with like the realistic, this might have happened to somebody. That's why Fire in the Sky was such a cool movie. Never seen Fire in the Sky? Check it out, because it's based on true accounts of these loggers that were out in the wilderness. They're coming back after a long day of chopping down trees, and one of them, Travis Walton, boom, gets beamed up to a spaceship. He's missing for 5 days. That's the kind of stuff I want to see.
That dude finally admitted he lied, though.
Did he really?
The entire Fire in the Sky thing is all bullshit.
Okay,
but see the movie anyway; it's still good. That last 30 minutes is freaky.
That just came
right?
over Mark's face.
Yeah, you're blowing my mind. I
know,
spent the entire summer that year just shining lights up into the sky, hoping to get abducted.
All bullshit.
But anyway, yeah, but it's a good movie.
That's the name of the sequel.
Yeah,
All bullshit.
Total bullshit.
let's do our radio announcer voices too.
No aliens
Somebody
whatsoever.
better make a
the
gif
reveal.
of Mark Ellis being hurt when his face was
Fire in the Sky, starring a disappointed Mark Ellis.
Very disappointed.
It's all bull.
So we're going to move on to our next story then, because no more alien talk. Travis Walton, you're a fraud. We have a trailer to talk about, and that is The House with a Clock in Its Walls, and it's a family gothic horror movie. If that's a big swath to cut, it's going to be done so by Eli Roth, and it is starring Cate Blanchett, Jack Black, and a little kid who I'm sure is going to be more famous than me, and richer as well soon. The trailer itself looks like a lot of fun. This movie comes out in September, and I think it can be kind of compared to something like Goosebumps, not just because Jack Black's in it, but also the subject matter, where you're taking horrific premises, but you're making them palatable for a family-friendly fare. Jon Schnepp, you checked out this trailer. When I heard Eli Roth was doing it, I was expecting one thing. What I got was something that felt a lot more like old-school Tim Burton-y, and I got to be honest with you, I really enjoyed this trailer.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can see a shot of Jack Black running down a hallway throwing fireballs, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I mean, definitely. It was surprising. I was like, I read about it and I was like, nah. And then I watched the trailer and I was pleasantly surprised. So yeah, I mean, it's not at the top of my list, but you know, when the movie comes out, you know, if I see another trailer, I'll be like, I might be checking out that. It's like people under the stairs, clocks inside a wall type of thing. It could be it feels like it's not going to be as creepy. It's definitely more family oriented. So, I mean, you're not going to see like any of those Eli Roth, like eyeball popping, you know, any of the old torture porn stuff. It's a different Eli Roth for the family.
Did you hear Kristian go good? Because he want to make. I get it. You want to take the kids. But you, like you said, you hear Eli Roth, you expect one
No,
thing.
I'm saying good because it's not to take the kids. It's because I'm sick of the same thing Eli Roth does every single time. He's a talented director, and to do stuff like this,
this is nice.
is where he should go. Like it's just like he does the same thing. It's the same type of I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna shock you, and they never do well. Nobody cares because
that
the
needs
movie
to be a gift too as well.
It's true, but nobody cares. It's like there are some people like he's got a niche audience, but he's got enough connections. He can get people like this in his movies. Do movies like this. Keep doing movies like this because those other ones, and some of his movies are just not good. They're just not good. And I think that this is a way to see him do other stuff than just be pigeonholed in one thing.
Yeah, I mean, this makes a lot of sense. As somebody who I know you didn't love the Goosebumps movie a couple years ago, but you didn't see it?
No.
Well, then I'll tell you how you felt. You you liked it, but you thought it had more potential than it actually showed on screen.
I didn't like it.
This could be, I don't want to spin it into a franchise just yet, Jay, but I mean, I think that this could be something that people say, oh, this is something that we can respond to and bring the family to around September.
Yeah, it has that magic with it. You know, you got Kate Blanchett as a witch. It's like, are you
the friendly witch next door.
Right, the friendly witch next door. Like you said, you got Jack Black running down the hall like he's Mario with a firefly. You know, so of course you can build on this. You can keep building. The house has all these different secrets. And what's more, it's not just this house, it's other houses. This can go, depending what the box office says, this can be 2 or 3 other films. So yeah.
Yeah. And especially Jack Black coming off a great performance in Jumanji.
Oh man, he was amazing.
Did you finally saw it?
I finally saw it and I loved it.
It's
I was
great,
like, why did
right?
it take me so long?
I told you, man.
You know?
Because I think a lot of people felt that way at first because it was one of those movies. It's like, Jumanji. And then everybody starts talking about it. All right, I'll check it out. And then you wind up really loving it. And Jack Black was one of the best things in the whole film.
And the
he
whole thing was
change-
fantastic. Everyone was fantastic.
I still haven't seen Jumanji 2. Did he change his? Because I'm a fan of Jack Black just being Jack Black, but I know that eventually after he had his nice run with the School of Rock kind of movies, people just thought he was just doing the same thing, which again never bothered me. But I think that it took down his box office clout a little bit. Still, he started to try to do other things. Is this the classic Jack Black, or did he take it in a new direction?
Jumanji,
with Jumanji?
It's a spin. It's a spin because he's got to do. I mean, it's in the trailer, so he's got to act like a 15-year-old girl trapped in his body, and he does it brilliantly. And you do have the tropes of Jack Black, but you kind of want some of those in there. But he's got to do different things.
Well, I thought, I mean, you have the tropes of all of those actors. Like you have Kevin Hart's playing a version of Kevin Hart. The Rock is playing a version, but they all have this little spin, all of them together. I thought, I mean, they're making the Jumanji 3 now, right? I'm not going to wait like 2 months to see it.
Are they doing another one?
Well, of course they are.
Yeah, well,
when you make all that dumbass money, of course you're making a sequel.
Yeah, they should.
So you have a house with ticking clocks, and that is a family-friendly Gothic horror-style movie. We move on to a more classic-sounding horror movie, and that is Kevin Bacon starring in You Should Have Left. That's the title of the movie that will be produced by Bacon and Jason Blum and Blumhouse Pictures. It is written and directed by famed screenwriter David Koepp, and the story follows, get this, a writer who holes up in a remote house in the Alps with his wife and daughter so he can work on a sequel to his big movie hit, and then he starts to go a little crazy. Sound like something you might have seen before? I don't know if there's going to be elevators opening with blood, or there's going to be creepy twins, or a ghost bartender, or a really, really, really old lady that looks like the Crypt Keeper in a bathtub, but this does sound intriguing for why? Kevin Bacon. He just brings so much to every role he's in. If you talk about a movie like Stir of Echoes or even something like Hollow Man, he can bring a scariness to a normally affable actor's persona. Jay Washington, do you want to see this, or is this just a ripoff of The Shining?
I think it is a ripoff when you hear the exact same storyline, but I do want to see Kevin Bacon do it because I loved Hollow Man so much. I liked how aggressive and evil he was in Hollow Man. And to watch him be a character that, I have my family. We're going to just chill here. I'm going to write this script. And then all of a sudden just starts going crazy and maybe attack his family. I want to see this.
Okay,
I'm already
so
sold.
You're in based on the premise more so, or because Kevin Bacon
Both.
can actually
both, because I
I
know Kevin Bacon can pull this off. There's no worry like, can he do this? Can he be crazy? Can he be psychotic? We've seen him do that. And so just to have this, people will say, it's a recycled script, a recycled plot line. We know what's going to happen. We don't know fully what's going to happen. We just know the premise.
And he really is like the icing on the cake, the bacon on the salad, is because Blumhouse is what's selling this movie to me, is that if they believe in this enough to produce it, if Jason Blum is going to lend his name to it, movies don't always have to cost a lot of money to make and be very successful. Kristian, you smell another hit with this?
Potentially, yeah, because it's that formula of make it for $3 in a candy bar, and then you wind up making a huge profit on it because you get people like Kevin Bacon involved in it too, give him producing credit and some points on the film, and then when it does well, everybody else does well. So what these movies do is that you also start to get a little bit more. It's not just the jump scares, and there's more to it. Now, the Shining element could be a brilliant marketing ploy or a very dangerous one. The dangerous being the obvious of it's just The Shining all over again if they hit a lot of the same beats. The brilliant part of it is because then it's like, it's kind of like The Shining, but it's not. Because if you can say that and that you pitch that, and you can pitch that in the room, you can see them saying, wait, so we got Kevin Bacon's attached to this thing, and Jason Blum is like, it's our Shining. But what we do differently is, and then we find out in the movie what it is. If they can do that, brilliant. But if they can't, then it's just like, I'll just go watch the Kubrick.
So more details are coming to light about this as we speak, because it's based on a story that had the lead kept being played by Kevin Bacon as a screenwriter. And apparently in David Koepp and Kevin Bacon's take on this and what the movie's going to be is that it's going to focus less on what his occupation is and more on the fact that he's a wealthy man with a younger wife and a 6-year-old child. Mistrust and suspicion characterize their marriage while they are in a remote location that may or may not be taking the physical laws of the universe into different places. That sounds less like The Shining and more like something original, something you want to see, Schnepp.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I like David Koepp. I mean, he's an incredible writer. I mean, for him to like come up with a spin on, your I'm alone in the woods type of a thing, I think it's less The Shining and more like, Misery or like any of these, Evil Dead. I mean, the minute you're like off in the woods somewhere with your friends or your family or whatever,
trying to get abducted by aliens,
trying to get abducted with
talking animals,
double invasion with talking animals.
Yep.
Yeah, that's my movie right
Alien
there.
Home invasion movie with talking animals.
Yeah.
That's with ticking clocks.
And
on the wall.
and he's writing. That's what he's writing. I'm a double invasion movie. What do you think, honey? Where are you?
typing.
Yeah. There it is. That's the movie.
Apparently Arnold's going to be in it too.
No.
This is we're literally taking all these movies we talked about today and just flushing them right down the toilet for your enjoyment. Of these two horror movies, though, which one do you think is going to be more successful? The House with the Ticking Clocks, because that's got the family angle, or this one because it seems like a straight up horror / supernatural. Now we're getting into more Stephen King territory, not The Shining, the more mystical realm kind
You're
of stuff.
saying this or the Alien movie?
Yeah.
Right now,
No,
you got
this or the House with the Ticking Clocks.
House with the ticking clocks.
Why?
Because Kate Blanchett and Jack Black, plain and simple.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah,
I think Jack Black has a lot of steam.
That one's edging, but we have to see the trailer because this could be that type of a
But we're also
breakout film.
Don't forget about money-wise, because the Eli Roth movie could cost, let's say,
50 million.
50 to 100 million, depending on the cast.
Right.
This probably costs, like I said,
$7
$5 million.
in a candy bar.
So I'm going to change that. This will make the bigger profit.
Okay.
Now, as far as more money, I don't know, but this will be the bigger profit.
Of
Yeah.
course, because it's a Blumhouse.
Kevin Bacon's weird sandwich in the woods movies is going to make more money.
Weird sandwich. What are you eating?
Yeah.
Bologna on peanut butter.
Oh yeah, literally.
We're going to save some time at the end of the show for your live Twitter questions. Go ahead and start tweeting us right now at Collider Video. Use the hashtag Collider Movie Talk. Weigh in on any of the movies that we just yapped about. Another question you have in your mind, or if you have any documented proof as to how Travis Walton actually feels about his alien abduction, because I've been Googling this since we started the show and Schnepp broke that news to me. I can't find anywhere where he's admitting that it didn't happen. As recently as 2017, all of the loggers said they've taken over 40 lie detector tests and that they stand by their story. So I am still with you,
Was that a
Travis Walton.
Schnepp? Because every once in a while, you'll I feel like you've dreamt that.
No,
and
no.
it's like, yeah, no, he came out and he said, it didn't
Fire
happen.
this guy, total all lies, falsehoods. All
I don't know.
bullshit.
Okay,
I think that
Travis
might be a
Walton
Schnepp.
stands by it.
He might
I
have
stand
Schnepped
by
him.
you.
Got caught
Travis
in the Schnepp
Walton.
zone.
That's right.
Make sure you guys check out our continuing list of the top 10 Spielberg movies of all time. We'll drop a new episode every day. I believe number 8 came out today, this morning. Check out numbers 9 and 10 that are already up there, as well as the honorable mentions later on today. Collider Heroes is going to be up live with our resident liar, pants on fire, Jon Schnepp. What's on tap?
So on tap, we got Double Invasion with talking animals and this movie that's filled with lies, Fire in the Sky. We're going to talk about that. Fire in the Sky 2, the sequel that never happened. We've got a whole bunch of superhero news. We're going to talk about Rom. I don't know if you saw yesterday's movie talk.
Space Knight.
If you care about Rom the Space Knight, tune into Heroes and find out why you should be excited about it.
All right.
It's good.
That's how you get the clicks. Hey, kids, you love Rom the Space Knight? Come on and watch our show.
Easily, at least 3,000 people will watch the show.
Schnepp got emails yesterday upset at us because they
didn't
thought we
know
were
Rom?
trashing Rom. We weren't trashing
I wasn't
Rom the
trashing
Space
Rom at
Knight.
all.
We just had never heard
I
of
know,
it.
exactly. No, it was your joke that was funny about it. It's like, people, you don't mess with Rom, apparently.
No one's ever heard of Rom.
It's going to be a... Not saying
We
it.
have Jedi Council is going to be up tomorrow, but I also do want to give a plug to the live Schmodown event. Part 1 came out yesterday here on Collider Video's channel. Their response has been pretty good. We
Yeah.
should be doing some more of these live shows then.
Well, yeah, we're still going to air the Roka JTE match on this Friday, and then we are going to be talking with Full Screen Live to do some more of these shows, whether they're in LA or around the country.
Gotta say that Roka JT match was fun.
Yeah,
that was like we
was
were there watching it.
it
And
was
it was
fun,
like a
yeah.
lot of fun.
Yes, thank you. So
I was
it's
there
gonna-
too, by the way, just so you know, for the people who are there in the live audience. Yeah, because a certain person on this panel just didn't acknowledge myself
Damn
or
you,
Jim,
Ellis.
or Jen's.
do anything. We're going to be doing a live Schmodown in Kentucky. Hopefully no aliens break in while we're trying to have
Well, they
some
will.
fun.
They just nobody. Schnepp will say we're lying.
That's right.
And they'll be
Fire in
talking
the Sky
animals,
Part 2
tell you
in
about it.
Kentucky.
So we also have our show Caption This, which is every Thursday. We'll post pics on our Instagram feed at Collider Video. So start following us right there and chime in. You guys might be on the show. Leave a funny caption, something witty, something pithy, and you can be on Caption This, hosted by Cody and Cobster, because they're the two best men for the job. Jay Washington, you're going to be in Chicago this weekend. Is that true?
Not this weekend, next weekend. I will be there from the 3rd to the 10th. I will be at C2E2. That's the Chicago Comic Entertainment Expo. I'll be all through there. So you can catch me there all 3 days. I'm probably going to watch the screening of Daphne and Velma.
Daphne and Velma, that's something, it's
yeah.
very, finally they get their chance to shine. If Scrappy Doo got his run,
Yeah,
Daphne and Velma, they put in their time, they deserve to have
Next thing
an
you know, we need
animated movie.
I don't know if it's animated or live action, whatever, but then we got to get Fred and an ascot.
You're going to be our man reporting on all things
But
Daphne
no,
Velma.
I'll be there, and also I got a bunch of shows at the Laugh Factory. I got everything up on my website, jwashington.com. So
Rock on, good sir. Now we move on to everybody's favorite website, twitter.com. Follow us at Collider Video. A. Clay kicks us off, and he says, in honor of the voice cast announcements for Dr. Dolittle, what are your favorite voice acting performances in movies? You guys think of a great vocal performance. One that I forgot about that I was reminded by watching this great documentary over the last 2 nights called The Zen Diaries of Gary Shandling. They focus on his role later in his career.
The Apatow one?
Yeah, it's amazing, start to finish. And he voiced the turtle in Over the Hedge, which is a movie I forgot about, but they played a lot of his acting and voiceover lines in it. They're really funny. Like, he crushes the turtle. Another great comedic legend. I can't remember the name of the movie, but I got to sit in a screening next to the man, the myth, the legend, Mel Brooks. He voiced like a penguin in some movie. Do you remember what that movie was?
I know it was a Fox screening. That's all I remember.
Yeah, and so those are the two that I will say. I love when a comedic legend comes back, whether it's somebody like Don Rickles in the Toy Story movies, something of that vein.
I have to go, with the easy one, and I got to say Robin Williams as the genie. It's still when you watch what they did, how they maneuvered it around him, how they maneuvered the story around him, and how he was able to use his brilliance, the brilliant that just comedic mind that he was. It made that movie. It really did. Like, when you think of how the moments in that film, you think of what Robin Williams brought to life as the genie. So Will Smith's got some big shoes to fill in the live action. He's great. He's very talented, but that's going to be a very difficult task to do.
All right, so we're going with some pretty funny, memorable performances. What do you guys got for us?
I'll say Don Rickles as Mr. Potato Head in the Toy Story movies. It's just like, there's all different, that's not even a lead role. That's just like a side role, but that popped in my head.
for me, I had to make sure I remembered his name. Charles Fleischer, who did Roger Rabbit.
Oh, yeah.
In Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Please! That there was, it's on Hulu now, and I've watched it 3 times. Don't judge me with my free time.
No.
But it's a great voice.
That's underrated.
It's
that
very
movie.
underrated. His voice for Roger Rabbit. Like, no one else has tried to, you try to do that please or whatever. Very few people can pull that off.
Without a headache.
Like splitting migraine.
Got to
say
spend some
also-
time with Fleischer at the Comedy Store, and I was working there. He was coming in a lot, doing spots and stuff. And have you ever seen the movie movie Zodiac, he is the creepy guy who might be one of the Zodiac killers in that movie. And it's very different than Roger Rabbit. It's not a family movie, but just knowing that guy can be a Roger Rabbit and also pull off a performance like that, pretty good range.
I'll tell you who doesn't get enough credit is Bradley Cooper as Rocket.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you don't even recognize that it's him. You don't even recognize. If you didn't know that was Bradley Cooper, you would not be able to guess.
What about the mythical mental genius of Vin Diesel as Groot? No, I'm just playing.
Or the Iron Giant, right? Wasn't he the Iron Giant?
He was
Iron Giant.
He was Iron Giant.
There you go. See, I contribute to this show.
Vin Diesel
Our
went into the studio
next
on
question
script-
and
on
our
stilts.
last question comes from Kevin Lott, and he says, "What Lego movie would you want to see next after Lego Movie 2?" He actually asked which Lego movie was next, and I'm not sure of the answer, so we'll just spin it into the realm of imagination and say, what Lego movie do you want to see after Lego Movie 2?
Well, I think they'll never do it because they don't have the license anymore. But I don't think they have the license. But I thought one of the best parts in the first Lego movie was when they did all the Star Wars stuff. I would love to see, because they've done a lot of Lego movies with Star Wars, but I want to see them get the full treatment. And how ironic it would be to see Lord Miller do a Star Wars Lego movie, which would be great.
They've done a lot of Lego movies with Star Wars?
Yeah, the straight to video.
Yeah, they're like
Really?
Yeah, they have like Lego Adventures and
Wow,
things.
because I mean, I know the Lego Star Wars, like Lego does really well with video games too. I really like the Lego Indiana Jones game, and so I would actually say an Indiana Jones movie, I'd arguably as excited for that as I would be for whatever Steven Spielberg can cook up, but I think I'm going to be pretty jacked for that live action
I'd
movie.
probably say either Ninjago 2 or a Smurfs movie, what is the Lego movie I'd never want to see again. But as far as one I'd like to see, go to Jay watching it. Oh, wait, I got one. A Tetris Lego movie. There we go.
We're going to see the Tetris live action soon. Aren't
No,
we?
we'll never see
Going to get a
that.
Tetris trilogy coming up soon.
Which I still don't understand. I'm with you with the Lego Indiana Jones. My daughter has an Indiana Jones. I think it's a Lego one, and she just keeps showing me she'll FaceTime me and show me the screen. I'm like, I can't wait to play this. So I want to see that as a movie.
I am very excited to see whatever Lego does next. The Lego Movie 2 should be coming out. We should get more announcements on that sooner rather than later. I'd be up for a Lego version of Fire in the Sky. Just have a bunch of Lego people out in the wilderness and one of them gets abducted. That's the true story. Why? Because Travis Walton stands by his statement. For Travis Walton, Kristian Harloff, Jon Schnepp, and Jay Washington, the entire panel here, thank you guys so much for tuning into this very hotly debated episode of Collider Movie Talk. We'll see you tomorrow where we'll be joined by Joelle Monique, Jenna Bush, and somebody to be named later. Could it be Travis Walton? Give us a call.
Liars.
Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.